The early 1930s were a period of intense global tension, and in Poland, the military high command watched with increasing alarm as the massive, covert rebuilding of the German military machine began in secret. It was understood that any modern, large-scale war would be fought not just with steel and armor, but with information and communications dominance. The Germans placed absolute, unwavering faith in their new cipher device, the Enigma machine. This compact typewriter-like device used a series of rotating internal wheels, or rotors, to generate a code that changed with every single letter typed. The German command believed, with total certainty, that this complex, electromechanical cipher was completely impregnable, capable of creating over 150 million possible cryptographic combinations, a truly impossible problem to solve by any conventional means. Understanding this existential threat, the Polish military establishment created and funded the Cipher Bureau in Warsaw. Their initial attempts to intercept and break the German encrypted messages using traditional, classic methods, relying heavily on linguists and classic cryptographic analysis, failed completely and utterly. The machine's reliance on complex, abstract mathematics proved an insurmountable obstacle for conventional codebreakers. This massive intelligence failure led to a crucial strategic insight within the Cipher Bureau leadership. To successfully defeat a highly advanced mathematical machine, they needed brilliant mathematicians, not just linguistic experts. This realization represented a profound and necessary shift in the history of cryptography, moving it definitively from a linguistic art into a rigorous, academic science. Following this strategic shift, the leaders of the Cipher Bureau, including the visionary Colonel Gwyden Langer, initiated a revolutionary recruitment drive. They focused their clandestine search entirely on the brilliant young minds graduating with honors from Poznan University, who had been trained specifically in advanced pure mathematics and abstract algebra. From this elite group of academic talent, 3 extraordinary young men were secretly selected for the formidable and seemingly impossible task. Marian Rejewski, a genius who specialized in abstract algebra; Jerzy Różycki, an expert in probability and statistical analysis; and Henryk Zygalski, who brought a deep understanding of permutations and mechanics. They were brought immediately into the utmost secrecy of the Cipher Bureau's closely guarded operations. These 3 highly gifted mathematicians were given the formidable challenge of reversing the entire Enigma machine's complex mechanism without ever having seen the actual machine itself. Their task was to deduce its intricate internal wiring, the correct sequence of its rotors, and the elusive daily key settings, all while only possessing incomplete, frustratingly brief, intercepted German messages. The sheer scale of the mathematical problem was staggering, a challenge built entirely upon the German belief that their cipher security was absolute and impenetrable. Working in intense isolation and under absolute secrecy, Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski began their work, fully aware that the very security of their nation, and perhaps the eventual outcome of any future conflict, rested squarely upon their intellectual ability to solve Hitler's ultimate secret. The unprecedented challenge facing Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski was immense. The German Enigma machine was designed to be solved only with its own counterpart, and the Polish Cipher Bureau possessed neither the machine nor its crucial wiring diagrams. The central problem was not just breaking the code once, but creating a systematic, reliable method to break the code every single day, as the German operators changed the rotor settings daily, thus creating a new cryptographic challenge each morning. Marian Rejewski, quickly realizing the massive cryptographic problem could not be solved by tedious manual checks, made the revolutionary decision to apply the abstract purity of advanced mathematics, specifically group theory, and the analysis of permutations, to find the pattern hidden within the seemingly random intercepted German messages. The massive intellectual effort being waged by the Poles received a crucial, though initially small, external boost. In 1931, the French Secret Service, known as the Decryption Bureau, provided the Polish Cipher Bureau with critical, initial documentation. This documentation, obtained from a highly placed German spy named Hans Thilo Schmidt, included operating manuals and key tables for the Enigma machine, but crucially, it still lacked the definitive internal wiring of the rotors. This partial intelligence gift, combined with the detailed traffic intercepts already gathered by the Poles, proved to be the final organizational and structural piece of the puzzle that Marian Rejewski needed to launch his revolutionary and successful attack on the cipher system. The true, monumental breakthrough came in late 1932 and early 1933. Working in intense isolation, Marian Rejewski used the structural patterns found in the intercepted, repeated cipher keys to deduce the exact, fixed internal wiring of the Enigma scrambler rotors. He realized that the first letters of the daily intercepted messages, which were used to repeat the three-letter key of the day, created a specific mathematical relationship, a structural permutation that was unique to the machine's internal setup. By using abstract equations to describe the rotor movements, Rejewski was able to reverse-engineer the fundamental core of the Enigma machine entirely through mathematics, solving the problem that had stymied the best cryptographers in Britain and France. This monumental success confirmed that mathematics, not just capture, held the key to Hitler's secret communications. Following Rejewski's theoretical deduction, the Polish team moved quickly and decisively to create a practical solution. Using his exact mathematical blueprint, the Polish Cipher Bureau successfully commissioned and constructed the first functional mechanical clone of the German Enigma machine. This working model, built entirely through intellectual effort, immediately confirmed their success and allowed the three cryptologists to begin the systematic reading and decryption of German messages in 1933. The critical division of labor was maintained. Marian Rejewski formulated the foundational mathematical theory, Jerzy Różycki developed statistical methods to locate daily rotor positions, and Henryk Zygalski focused on the mechanical and methodological implementation. The impossible had been decisively achieved. The period immediately following the breakthrough was one of intense, silent victory for the Polish Cipher Bureau. For several critical years, Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski successfully read German military traffic, providing Poland with an invaluable strategic advantage. However, the German military high command, completely unaware of the Polish success, continually sought to improve the security of their Enigma cipher machine. In 1936 and 1937, the Germans introduced structural changes to their operating procedures, including making the internal connections of the reflector more complex and later changing the complicated method by which their operators set up the machine each day. These technical changes, though seemingly minor, were enough to render the Polish slow, manual decryption methods impossible once more, dramatically increasing the time required to find the daily key and forcing the Poles back to square one. Faced with this rapidly escalating complexity and the looming threat of the German Wehrmacht, Marian Rejewski realized that the speed of human, manual calculation could no longer possibly keep pace with the machine's rapidly increasing permutations. The solution had to be mechanical and automated. In 1934, he brilliantly developed the cyclometer, a sophisticated electromechanical device that automated the complex process of checking potential rotor wiring permutations. This machine was the first dedicated, specialized cryptologic machine in history, built entirely for the sole purpose of attacking the Enigma cipher. The cyclometer dramatically reduced the immense amount of tedious manual labor required to decipher the intercepted messages, allowing the Polish team to successfully maintain pace with the German security upgrades for a crucial period. As the German security measures continued to increase in complexity, the team worked diligently on complementary solutions. Jerzy Różycki made a crucial statistical contribution, developing a technique known as Różycki's clock, which expertly exploited a structural, systematic flaw in the way the cipher was set up, allowing the cryptologists to determine the rotational order of the rotors much more efficiently. However, even with the cyclometer, the time required to manually reset and run calculations became mathematically unsustainable, especially after the Germans increased the total number of interchangeable rotors available for use from 3 to 5. The cryptologists were running a desperate race against an inevitable mathematical tide, knowing that the outbreak of a major war would make their relatively slow, current process completely obsolete. The ultimate Polish mechanical innovation arrived in 1938, the bomba cryptologiczna, or cryptologic bomb, also brilliantly invented by Marian Rejewski. This highly specialized machine was not an explosive, but an ingenious chain of 6 electrically linked Enigma equivalents, designed to automatically test potential daily key settings based on the mathematical permutation cycles discovered by Rejewski. The cryptologic bomb could find the daily cipher key in approximately 2 hours, a breathtaking and necessary achievement that provided the necessary speed to handle the rapidly increasing volume of German military traffic. 6 of these powerful, pioneering machines were quietly constructed by the Polish Cipher Bureau in Warsaw, standing ready for the war that was now visibly and quickly approaching Poland's borders. As 1939 dawned, the threat of invasion by the German Wehrmacht became not a mere possibility, but a devastating certainty. Despite the successful development of the cryptologic bomb and their ability to read German traffic, the Polish High Command faced an impossible reality. The economic and industrial resources required to scale up their cryptologic efforts could not possibly compete with the vast resources of Germany. Furthermore, the Germans had recently increased the complexity of the Enigma machine by adding 2 extra, interchangeable rotors, increasing the decryption difficulty tenfold, and making the Polish Cipher Bureau's continued independent success unsustainable. The intelligence gained from Enigma was too vital to allow it to be lost. The Poles realized that this critical secret must be shared with the Allies to save Europe. This profound realization led to one of the most significant, yet secret, meetings of the entire Second World War. In July 1939, just weeks before the invasion, Polish officials, including the 3 primary cryptologists Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski, met with high-level British and French intelligence representatives in the secluded Prairie Forest near Warsaw. The British delegation included initial representatives from the highly secret Bletchley Park organization. The atmosphere was one of profound urgency and utmost secrecy, with the Polish delegation carrying the key to Hitler's secret communications, their entire life's work, in their briefcases. In an extraordinary act of international generosity and intellectual brilliance, the Polish cryptologists revealed everything they knew. They meticulously handed over the entire body of their research, including the foundational mathematical theory that had cracked the Enigma's wiring, the detailed mechanical schematics for the working duplicate Enigma machines, the method behind the cyclometer, and, most crucially, the blueprints for the electromechanical cryptologic bomb. This comprehensive intellectual gift was absolutely foundational to the Allies. The British and French had been largely unsuccessful in their own parallel efforts, and this massive data transfer provided them with a crucial running start of several years in the complex, essential war of codes. The transfer of knowledge was completed just days before the German invasion began in September 1939. The British and French delegates quickly transported the invaluable material back to their respective countries. The Polish cryptologists, having selflessly passed on their life's work, now faced the incoming German army. They were immediately evacuated from Warsaw, knowing that their work, the key to the Enigma cipher, could not, under any circumstances, fall into German hands. Their selfless act ensured that when the war began, the Allies were not fighting blind, and the intelligence effort that would eventually shorten the war by years had already been securely established. The German invasion of Poland in September 1939 signaled the tragic end of the Polish independent cryptologic effort, but marked the beginning of its crucial international phase. As the German Wehrmacht rapidly advanced on Warsaw, the three primary cryptologists, Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski, along with key personnel from the Cipher Bureau, were urgently evacuated. Carrying their invaluable knowledge and the essential components of their replica Enigma machines, they managed a perilous escape, first through Romania and then onward to France. This small group of mathematicians and engineers represented one of the most vital intelligence assets possessed by the Allies, and their safe passage was absolutely essential to the continuation of the Cold War against Germany. Once safely in France, the Polish team immediately began working in close cooperation with the French and British intelligence services. They were established at a highly secluded facility at the Château de Vignoles, near Paris, where they formed a joint cryptological unit codenamed PC Bruno. This facility became the primary hub for intercepting and decoding German messages using the sophisticated methods and machines pioneered in Warsaw. During the early period of the war, often referred to as the Bony War, the Polish team achieved significant success, continuing to read a large portion of the German military and air force communications, proving their innovative methods were still highly effective even after the fall of their homeland. However, their success was short-lived geographically. In May 1940, the German Wehrmacht launched its devastating offensive through the Low Countries and into France. As the German lightning advance quickly threatened Paris, the Polish team faced a terrifying replay of their hurried flight from Warsaw. They were forced to evacuate the PC Bruno facility in extreme haste, frantically destroying their codes, sensitive documents, and the replica Enigma components to ensure their work did not fall into German hands. Their desperate escape route led them south, a highly dangerous journey through the chaos of retreating Allied armies and overwhelming German military superiority. Tragedy struck this core group in February 1942 when Jerzy Różycki, one of the three original, irreplaceable codebreakers, was tragically killed when the passenger ship he was traveling on in the Mediterranean Sea was sunk, a devastating loss to the small, brilliant team. Despite the loss of Jerzy Różycki and the sudden collapse of France, Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski refused to stop fighting. They continued their desperate flight south toward unoccupied Vichy France, determined to reach the free world, either Britain or North Africa, to continue their life's work. The mathematical core of their achievement, the key intellectual knowledge that broke the cipher, had already been safely delivered to Bletchley Park in Britain, but the two remaining mathematicians were a living, irreplaceable asset. They were fully aware that the Gestapo and German intelligence were relentlessly searching for the Polish cryptologists, knowing that their knowledge posed a singular, existential threat to the entire German war effort. After the collapse and fall of France in 1940, Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski found temporary sanctuary in the nominally free territory of Vichy France. With the indispensable help of the French military, they successfully established a second secret code-breaking station, codenamed PC Cadix, near Uzes in the southern part of the country. Despite the immense difficulty of operating under the oppressive thumb of the collaborationist government and the constant risk of German infiltration, the two remaining mathematicians immediately resumed their critical work on the Enigma cipher. They quickly built new replica machines and, thanks to the methods and intellectual legacy developed in Warsaw, they were still able to read a significant volume of German communications, powerfully demonstrating the enduring strength of their original mathematical breakthrough even when working with vastly limited resources. The small, invaluable team suffered an immense and devastating loss during this difficult period. The third original codebreaker, Jerzy Różycki, was tragically killed in February 1942 when the civilian passenger ship carrying him back from a mission in Algeria sank in the chilling waters of the Mediterranean Sea. The death of Różycki, whose expertise in statistical analysis had been absolutely critical to developing the sophisticated methods of dealing with the Enigma's complexity, left Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski to shoulder the entire, enormous, solitary burden of continuing the decryption effort. Despite the crippling personal loss of their colleague, they maintained the critical flow of intelligence, realizing that the unique knowledge they possessed was far too important to allow personal grief to halt their fight against the German war machine. The sanctuary offered by Vichy France proved highly fragile and tragically temporary. In November 1942, following the Allied invasion of North Africa, the German army abruptly marched into and occupied the entire southern zone of France. This sudden, aggressive move unleashed the full, terrifying force of the Gestapo across the entire region, and the hunt for key Allied intelligence assets, particularly the Polish codebreakers, was massively intensified. Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski were now in deadly, imminent danger, knowing that if they were captured, they would face summary execution and their entire body of unique knowledge would fall directly into German hands. They were forced to immediately abandon Psiquatics and begin a final, desperate attempt to flee to safety. Their final escape route was a grueling, terrifying journey through the heart of newly occupied territory, heading toward the neutral border of Spain. Traveling under false names and crudely disguised as ordinary refugees, the two cryptologists faced constant, agonizing close calls and the threat of betrayal. They crossed the border into Spain in early 1943, but were swiftly captured by the Spanish authorities, who were, at the time, sympathetic to the Axis cause. They were subjected to harsh imprisonment, their freedom hanging by a thread, until intense British and Polish diplomatic pressure finally secured their release. After years of fighting in the shadows and fleeing across continents, Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski were finally free to continue their essential work from the safety of Britain. After their harsh imprisonment in Spain, Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski were finally released following intense diplomatic negotiations and linked up with the British Escape Network. Their long, perilous journey ended in 1943 when they finally arrived safely in Britain. They were immediately regarded as invaluable, irreplaceable assets, and were quickly integrated into the Allied intelligence system. However, they were strategically kept away from the primary British code-breaking facility at Bletchley Park. Given the immense security surrounding the Enigma secret and the inherent paranoia over potential security breaches and spies, their direct, unique past knowledge was deemed too dangerous to expose to the massive, highly compartmentalized British operation. The two Polish cryptologists were instead assigned to a small Polish-controlled unit operating in close cooperation with the Royal Navy outside of London. Here, they applied their expertise to cracking lower-level German military codes and traffic, specifically working on tactical ciphers used by German forces that were less complex than the constantly evolving Enigma system. Their direct, foundational role in the Enigma breakthrough had been completed years earlier. Their original methods and prototype machines, such as the Cryptologic Bomb, had been successfully absorbed and vastly superseded by the massive industrial and technological efforts spearheaded by Alan Turing and others at Bletchley Park, who had constructed huge, specialized electromechanical bomb machines for automated daily decryption. This necessary security compartmentalization led to a significant degree of intellectual isolation and quiet frustration for Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski. While their mathematical theory, the very foundation used to find the Enigma key settings, was the absolute basis of everything being done at Bletchley Park, the two Polish pioneers were mostly kept separate from the main, exhilarating effort. They focused on solving peripheral German codes, quietly working under the supervision of the Royal Navy, unable to fully contribute to the continuous core Enigma battle they had originally started and, crucially, 1 year before. It was a strange, undeniable irony. The true creators of the key were excluded from the magnificent chamber it unlocked. Despite their reduced role in the final years of the war, the impact of their initial, selfless act in 1939 was utterly immeasurable. The British were able to successfully leverage the blueprints of the Polish cryptologic bomb and Marian Rejewski's pure mathematical theory to rapidly construct the massive infrastructure necessary to automate the decryption process. This resulting intelligence system, known as Ultra, fundamentally provided the Allies with detailed, real-time knowledge of German military intentions, shortening the war by an estimated 2 years and saving countless lives. Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski had won the crucial, intellectual battle that enabled the Allies' eventual, decisive victory. When the war finally ended in 1945, Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski immediately returned to their liberated, yet politically complex, homeland of Poland. They carried with them the immense secret of the Enigma cipher, a secret they were strictly forbidden by the British authorities to ever speak of. Added to this was the immediate danger of the new Soviet-dominated communist regime in Poland, which viewed former Western intelligence collaborators with deep suspicion. To protect themselves and the long-term integrity of the crucial secret, they lived in absolute silence, unable to share their greatest life's achievement with anyone, not even their own families. The subsequent years were difficult and largely unglamorous. Henryk Zygalski later emigrated to Britain, where he worked as a dedicated mathematics lecturer, tragically unable to openly mention his wartime service that had fundamentally changed world history. Marian Rejewski remained in Poland, working in various accounting and administrative positions, a mathematical genius forced into mundane tasks, all the while keenly aware of the profound magnitude of the secret he carried. The British government, seeking to protect their ongoing code-breaking advantage during the emerging Cold War, maintained absolute secrecy over the Enigma story for decades, ensuring the crucial Polish role remained tragically obscured from public view. The long, necessary silence finally broke in the early 1970s, when the British government began the slow process of declassifying documents related to the Enigma project. This gradual lifting of the secrecy curtain allowed Marian Rejewski and Henryk Zygalski to finally begin to speak openly about their incredible achievements. The world was stunned to learn that the crucial mathematical foundation of the entire Allied code-breaking effort had been laid not at Bletchley Park, but in Warsaw by 3 brilliant young Polish mathematicians who had achieved the impossible years before the war even began. Though Jerzy Różycki was not there to share the recognition, the survivors finally began to receive the global praise and historical recognition they so rightfully deserved. The ultimate legacy of Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski is absolutely undeniable. They were the intellectual fathers of the entire Enigma effort, providing the crucial mathematical blueprint and the electromechanical methods that allowed the Allies to read the German High Command communications. Winston Churchill later confirmed that the ultra-intelligence provided by breaking Enigma was instrumental, shortening the war by an estimated 2 years and saving countless lives. Their story is a powerful, enduring testament to intellectual heroism that fundamentally changed the course of world history, proving that the silent war waged by mathematicians was as vital as any battle fought on the front lines.